We're at Graydon Casino's poker room in my hometown in Northern California, ready to play the biggest game that runs. I get 10,000 in chips to play uncapped 1025 that has regular straddles and double straddles. I plan on only putting 5,000 in play to begin, which is how much most people are starting with. But now that I'm at the table, I realize it's not very convenient to have to store half my stack somewhere. I pivot, putting all 10,000 in play from the get-go. Something I think about regularly with my 1-year-old son is that each time I look at him, it's the smallest he's ever going to be. Today, when we look down, this is the smallest our stack is ever going to be. We begin play just after 2 p.m. The very first hand dealt, we pick up Jack 10 offsuit in the big blind. The cutoff raises to 100. The button calls. We're not folding Broadway cards when we're closing the action. I call for 75 more. 3 of us are seeing the flop. It comes King 10-9 with 2 hearts. We've got middle pair with some backdoor draws. It could be a fun combo to turn into a bluff at some point if need be. I check. The initial pre-flop raiser checks, indicating he probably doesn't have top pair or better. The button checks as well. Our second pair could be the best hand. The turn is the 6 of hearts. We pick up a flush draw. No one seemed too interested in trying to win the pot on the previous street. My sense is that we're best. I bet 150 for value. Even if one of our opponents somehow has a king or better 10, we likely have some outs. The cutoff isn't going to let us take the pot that easy. He calls. The button probably has a pocket pair that didn't connect. He folds. It's down to heads up. I put the cutoff on an ace-queen offsuit type of hand with 1 heart, or maybe pocket 8s or 7s with a heart. The river is the 7 of clubs, putting 4 to the straight on board. I bet for value on the turn with second pair and some draws. Our draws missed, and the board got worse for us. We can't bet and get called by much that we're beating. I check to get to showdown cheaply. I don't want to see the opponent take a stab. He checks back. We show that we only have a 10. Evidently, it's good enough to win the first hand dealt. It isn't a large pot, but we're already over the even mark with no plans of looking back. A half hour later, we're dealt ace-king offsuit under the gun +1 with the $50 straddle on. The straddle's on every hand now. We're first to act with a premium. I raised to 150. Our boy, who was the opponent in the last hand, wants to dance again. He 3-bets to 450 from the button. When our early position raise gets re-raised, alarm bells start going off. I don't know much about our opponent, so I'm not going to get wild with a 4-bet. I call for 300 more to keep things manageable and ensure that we see a flop. The dealer puts out King, Queen, Jack, Rainbow. We've got top, but that doesn't mean much at the moment. I check. The opponent might have 3-bet us with hands like aces, kings, queens, jacks, and ace-king. We're not doing great against his range on this board with only 1 pair. The button is just as worried about the flop as we are. He checks back. I wouldn't be surprised if he was doing this with ace-king as well, but maybe he has ace-queen or pocket 10s that we're ahead of. The turn is the deuce of clubs. It's a total blank. Just in case we're up against a slow-played monster, I check again. No more free cards for us. The button bets 600. If he's betting for value, he's minimally going to have ace-king or pocket aces because he'd probably check again with ace-queen and try to get to showdown cheaply. Our top pair is under-repped and we check twice post-flop. We're obviously not giving up on Big Slick, even though putting several hundred more in the middle doesn't feel all that great, especially knowing that we could face a larger bet on the river, but I call. We never know what our opponents are up to. Sometimes they take wacky lines with combos we don't expect them to show up with. Hopefully that's the case right now, otherwise we're going to be chopping or losing. The river's the 3 of spades. It changes nothing. I check. I really don't want to see another bet, particularly a massive one. When the 2 most likely outcomes consist of us chopping or losing, we aren't able to call if we face another barrel. The button decides not to go for value. He waves the white flag and checks back. We turn over our AK. It's something Ice Cube didn't even have to use in order to have a good day, but we put it to use to get the win, and the day is pretty good for us so far. I'm not sure what the button could have had, maybe a suited ace wheel like ace 5 or ace 4 of clubs that picked up a flush draw on the turn. We get the victory, and we're up 4 figures. We run it back, picking up ace-king again. This time we're suited in the small blind with a double straddle to 100 on. The table's 7-handed at the moment. The hijack is first to act. He raises to 250. The cutoff calls. We're going to be re-raising. We've got both of the opponents covered who's put money into the pot so far. I'm okay getting it in against one of them for the amounts that they've got in front of them. I 3-bet to 1200, knowing that there's a chance we'll be calling a shove. While I'm thinking about the players who've already voluntarily put chips in the middle, the under-the-gun straddler's in the tank, contemplating a possible 4-bet and potentially ripping it in for heaps. He has 19,000 in his stack, and he has us well covered. I don't really want to get it in for everything that we've got in front of us, but we might have to. Ultimately, under the gun thinks better of it and lets it go. The action's back on the initial pre-flop raiser. He folds. The cutoff doesn't have a hand that he wants to play for 1200. He folds, but is interested in seeing what were to come out.
Give me a flop, will you? Yeah.
Under the gun lets us know that we had him pipped. It's good that he folded because the flop would have been ace queen 9.
You'd have hung on from there. What's the next? Run it out, will you?
The turn would have been the 5 of hearts. The river is the king of hearts. We would have beat ace queen after all and potentially won a massive pot if under the gun had gotten frisky. Still, I'm okay with the outcome. We're up a couple thousand. About an hour into the session, we pick up pocket queens in the cutoff. The straddle's on. I raise to 150. The small blind, big blind, and under the gun straddler all call. We're going 4 ways to the flop in position. The dealer puts out queen 10 for all clubs. We've got top set, but we could be behind if someone has a flush. The small blind checks. The big blind has a short memory and forgot who the pre-flop aggressor was. He bets 400. This is the same opponent that we beat in the first hand of the day, and again with ace king offsuit after he 3-bet us. Already, this current situation is bizarre. We know where 75% of the queens are, so it feels like the big blind's representing a flopped flush. Under the gun folds. I consider raising, but if we get re-raised, it's not going to feel great. I call, which somewhat under-reps our hand. At least we're in position though. Once, when I was 12, I was on a jet ski and I hit another jet ski. It wasn't pleasant. I know it seems counterintuitive, but here, all I want to do is hit a boat. The small blind folds. It's down to heads up. The turn is the 6 of diamonds. If we were ahead previously, we're still ahead. The big blind bets 1200. Initially, I was thrilled to hit top set, but as the pot and our opponent's bets get larger and larger, our set's beginning to shrink, and it's not even cold outside. I call, wishing for the board to pair. We've got one last shot at it. The river is the 5 of spades. It's another blank, except some unlikely straights get there. Right away, we hear from our opponent. We face a snap jam for 8,910 total from the big blind. I'm not sure what to make of the massive shove for almost 2.5 times the size of the pot. Again, I know very little about this opponent. What does he think we have? It probably looks like we've either got the nuts or one pair at best because I played the set somewhat passively. Could he possibly be doing this for value with a set of 10s, pocket 4s, or queen 10? I kind of doubt that he'd bet all 3 streets and rip it in for piles on the river without at least having a blocker to the ace of clubs. His snap jam is really suspicious, as if he's feigning strength, but he shouldn't have a ton of offsuit combinations containing the ace of clubs when he calls our pre-flop raise from the big blind and there's a straddler behind him. I'm strongly considering folding because often when people go with enormous all-ins, they tend to have the nuts or something close to it. This shove just feels off though. I'm taking my time to process the situation, potentially get a read on my opponent, and make him sweat while I start talking out loud.
Just ace of clubs. Tough spot.
Typically, I'm pretty quick with my decisions. In this instance, I'm totally perplexed. I'm on the fence, and I'm not completely buying the story that the opponent flopped the joint, opted not to go for the check raise, and then ripped river immediately, almost as if he didn't see or care what card came out. It's like his mind was already made up on the turn that he was going to shove river no matter what. We don't have anything close to the nuts, but I need to see what we're up against. I call. I generally don't like playing enormous all-in pots at the start of sessions before I get a feel for the game and my opponents. But it pays off here. The big blind reveals that he has ace-7 offsuit with the ace of clubs like I thought he might. We have him barely covered to win a giant all-in with what's essentially a bluff catcher. To the big blind's credit, he nearly got me to fold a set, but our hand was way under-repped, so it didn't feel right letting it go. Sometimes I'm wrong in a spot like this, and I feel like an idiot getting stacked. It's nice when the hero call works out. Keeping the full 10,000 in front of us at the start of the session allows us to win several thousand more than we would have if we'd only bought in for 5,000 like I initially planned. Already, we're up over $12,000 with a lot of poker left to play. Not long after, we're dealt pocket aces in the under the gun straddle. The cutoff raises to 150. The button calls. This is the same opponent that we stacked previously with our set of queens. The small blind calls. The big blind also calls. This is teed up nicely for us to go with what might look like a light 3-bet squeeze. I re-raised large to 1200. This is 8 times the size of the initial pre-flop raise, so it's unlikely that we're going to get called. The initial pre-flop raiser is the only opponent at the table who could do some real damage to our stack. He apparently has a hand that he'd like to see a flop with while we're playing deep, and he's in position. He calls. The cutoff is the last person that I wanted to see remain in the pot. Everyone else has medium-sized stacks. If they drill something, maybe we'll double them up, but it won't hurt too badly. We'll have to play cautiously heads up against the cutoff. Except we're not going heads up. The button calls as well. Now the small blind's getting a decent price to stick around. He calls. The big blind's getting an even better price than the small blind. He calls for over 1,000 more to close the action. This may be the first ever 5-way 3-bet pot that I've ever played. It's insane. I imagine we're up against a lot of small to medium pocket pairs that are set mining. The flop comes 10-7-4 rainbow. Is it a good one for us? I have absolutely no clue. The small blind and big blind check. The pot has $6,000 in it. Checking seems nuts because we'd potentially be letting 4 opponents see a free card. I've never been in a multi-way spot quite like this. I bet 800. It's a tiny sizing that puts a ton of pressure on the cutoff in particular. He's the person who I definitely don't want to double up. While the pot odds he's getting are insane, he has to be concerned that I 3-bet, then followed up with a continuation bet into 4 opponents, and even if the cutoff has me beat, he still has to worry that the other 3 players in could have sets, as they reasonably might. Cutoff folds to the tiny sizing. It's a giant relief since the only other players remaining have relatively small stacks compared to what's in the middle. They all have about pot-sized bets remaining. The button calls, which is somewhat crazy. This is the guy that we stacked previously. He might be slow playing a set. He could have just a pair of 10s, or he could have something worse that he's plotting revenge with. The small blind is considering ripping it in. He knows that this isn't the best flop for my big blind 3-bet range. He doesn't have enough to put a lot of pressure on us though. He folds, the big blind quickly folds, our small bet is effective. We've narrowed it down from having 4 opponents to only 1. I'm not sure if we're way ahead or potentially crushed. The turn is the 7 of diamonds, pairing the board and putting a flush draw out there, but we've got the ace of diamonds, so I'm not very concerned that the opponent will somehow hit a backdoor flush. I like the additional 7 because it makes it less likely that the opponent flopped a set. If he only has something like King 10, Queen 10, or Jack 10 suited, he's drawing dead to 2 outs. Those are the most likely hands that I put him on. I glance at his stack and realize that he has 6350 remaining. There's no need to bet large in order to get everything that he's got by the river. I make another tiny wager, this time betting 1500. If he calls, his future self is going to be all in, possibly without his current self knowing it, because I'm going to jam on the next street no matter what card comes out, and the odds he'll be getting will make it nearly impossible to fold. The button doesn't look too thrilled about our turn bet. Good. I like seeing what seems to be genuine annoyance. The button calls, leaving himself with only 4850 total. The river is the 8 of hearts. It's not the best river because multiple straights get there, and pocket 8s is a somewhat plausible hand that we could be up against, which just improved to take the lead, but there's no way we're missing an opportunity to bet. I rip it for 4850 effective. There's no snap call. We're not up against a full house, straight, or trips. We may not even be up against a pair of 10s. The opponent can't believe the spot that he's found himself in. He's 1 call away from getting to showdown though. He still hasn't recovered emotionally from us picking off his failed bluff attempt. He's looking at all the chips that were previously his that have found a new home in our stack. He wants to get them back badly. He calls. We reveal our overpair to the board. Our aces are the best hand. We win a second huge all-in pot. It was a tough one to navigate with so many opponents at the start, but we make the maximum, winning another one with over 20,000 in the middle. The opponent lets the table know that he called us down light with King 4 suited after flopping bottom pair. We're still only an hour and a half in, and we're up over $25,000. Sure, $25,000 is a lot, but I'm giving away $30,000 to you viewers who signed up to ClubWPTGold.com using promo BRAD for 30 days in a row from May 20th to June 18th. I'm giving away 1,000 sweeps coins. I'm randomly selecting 10 people who will receive 100 sweeps coins each. Sweeps coins are redeemable for cash at 1-to-1 with the US dollar. The giveaway winners will be announced on my social media accounts. To be eligible, all you have to do is sign up to ClubWPT Gold using promo BRAD, and you must have made a purchase of any amount. I'm personally on the hook for the giveaway, so take advantage of it, so hopefully you can be one of 300 winners. Also, ClubWPT Gold is giving away up to $11 million this summer for those of you who have a golden ticket. Multi-tabling is now available on the site as well. They're continuing to make a variety of site improvements. It's an exciting time for poker in the US. I have more information regarding all the promotions pinned in the comment section below. Thanks for making it all the way through this advertisement. Here we're dealt King 10 suited and under the gun straddle. The big blind limps in. He's one of the few pros in the game. A suited Broadway hand is solid enough to bump it up with. I raised to 200. The big blind has plenty of tricks up his sleeve. He busts one out as he limp 3 bets to 675. Some of the time, we'll have complete garbage that we'll raise with from the straddle, and we can fold those without giving it any thought. In this case, we raise for value and we're strong enough to stick around. I call for 475 more while we're in position. The flop comes 8-6-3 with 2 spades. We've got a flush draw with 2 overs and a backdoor straight draw. It's a terrific flop for us, and pretty awful for the limp 3-better, who will regularly have 2 overcards and no flush draw. The big blind down bets at 450. This is an affordable price and there are so many cards that can help us out. I don't see much reason to raise. I call to see what develops on the turn. The dealer puts out the ace of hearts. It's the absolute worst card in the deck. We could be drawing dead. The big blind knows it's a better turn for his range. He goes with a pot size bet at 2250. As much as I want to call and see if we can drill the second nuts, this is slightly more than I'm willing to risk to get there. I reluctantly fold to ensure that we save money, while also ensuring that I'm going to be frustrated not knowing if we could have improved a win on the river. At least we don't lose much. In this one, we're dealt 10-8 suited in the hijack. This isn't one we necessarily need to play, but it's got potential. I raised to 150. The cutoff calls, our nemesis from the last hand calls in the under the gun straddle. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It comes 7-6-3 with 2 clubs. Not great for us, although we do have 2 overs and a straight draw. Everyone checks. The turn is the 8 of clubs, giving us top pair. Under the gun got a flop and turn that'll generally be good for him. He bets 350. I don't feel like folding. Our top pair might be good, but if that's the case, we could benefit from some protection. I put in a small raise to 850. We'll occasionally have some strong flushes we'll play this way, so it's not as if either of our opponents can re-raise us with impunity. If the under the gun player calls our raise, we can check back all rivers rather than call on this street, let our opponent have an opportunity to improve, then face a large bet on the river and not know what to do. Also, if we do happen to get re-raised, we have an easy decision to fold. The cutoff folds. Under the gun isn't quite sure what to do when facing our small raise. He eventually calls for 500 more though. We're heads up. The river is another 7. It's not a great card for us because we'll pretty much never have a full house given how we played the hand. Under the gun leads for 450. It's a blocker bet. We don't beat a whole lot, but we're getting too good of a price. I call. Under the gun shows that he has 5-4 of clubs. He flopped a straight, then turned to flush. My turn raise, coupled with an awful river, backfires big time. If the river were a high card, under the gun would have checked, and we could have checked back to get the showdown without putting in any additional money. Instead, I lose more than I probably would have if I had just called the turn bet. We're playing the Squid game for my first time ever when we pick up ace-6 offsuit in the under the gun straddle. The Squid game is similar to the stand-up game, but it's slightly different. We play 8 hands total. If you don't win any of the 8 hands, you have to pay money out to the table. If you win a hand, you'll get a Squid game chip indicating that you're safe and won't have to pay anyone out. If you win a second hand, you'll receive a second Squid game chip. At the end of 8 hands, whoever doesn't have a chip in front of them has to pay out $100 for each of the 8 chips that were awarded to their opponent for a total of $800. There can be multiple losers of the Squid game, whereas there's only one loser of the stand-up game. Also, you can win a lot more in the Squid game. Let's say we win all 8 hands, then there will be 7 losers who have to pay us $800 each, so we'd collect a total of $5,600. The cutoff opens with the raise to 150. This is the same opponent we've stacked twice. The big blind calls. I call for 100 more to close the action. 3 of us are going to the flop. It comes Jack 10-9, all clubs. We've got a flush draw. The big blind checks. I check to the pre-flop raiser. The opponent bets 300. The big blind calls. With our strong draw, we're happy to continue, particularly with the extra incentive of winning a hand during the Squid game. I call to see the turn. 3 players are still in. The turn is the 6 of clubs, giving us the flush, although there are several straight flushes possible. The big blind checks. I don't anticipate the cutoff betting if we check to him. I bet 800 to ensure that it doesn't check through. There's no quick decision from the cutoff. He may have a flush, potentially with a straight flush draw. He calls. The big blind knows that he's got to be beat. He folds. It's down to heads up with the guy who's shown a propensity to put in a lot of chips with questionable holdings. The river's the 3 of clubs, giving us the 6-card flush. Unfortunately, I don't think that we get a bonus for that. I bet 3,000 to try to get called by a king or queen high flush. It'd be a disaster if we were somehow up against a straight flush. That possibility is in the back of my mind as the opponent may be contemplating putting in a raise. After about 30 seconds, the cutoff folds. We have to reveal our cards in order to get a Squid game button. It's the first hand that we've won with the game on. We win the pot and at least an extra 100, while we're now safe from having to pay out anyone else. A few minutes later, we look down at King Jack offsuit on the button with the Squid game still on. Under the gun +1 raises to 150. He's one of the few remaining players without a button in front of him, so he has extra motivation to enter the pot light and win a hand. I call. Small blind, big blind, under the gun straddler all call as well. We're going 5 ways to the flop. The dealer puts out king 5-3 with 2 clubs. We've got top pair and a backdoor flush draw. It checks to the pre-flop raiser. King high flops will generally be good for him. He knows that. He bets 425. If we're currently best, like I suspect, I don't want to call and potentially allow up to 4 opponents a chance to hit something to take the lead from us. I raised to 1200 in order to disincentivize anyone from calling with a drawing hand. One by one, the small blind, big blind, and under the gun player, and under the gun +1 all fold. We reveal that we had a pair of kings in order to get a second Squid Game button. Now at least 2 players will have to give us $200 each. It's nice to run well and benefit from the side game. We continue to add chips to our stack. Here we're dealt ace-jack offsuit under the gun +1. A new Squid Game round is on. I raised to 150. Everyone likes getting involved against us. The cutoff, button, and small blind all call. We're going 4 ways to the flop. It comes ace-ace-jack with 2 hearts. We flop the absolute nuts. It's a great time to do it because this is actually the 8th and final hand of the current Squid Game. A few of us involved haven't won a hand yet and need to win, otherwise we'll have to pay out $800 each. The small blind checks it to us. I make a little bet of 150 to try to keep in as many players as possible who are likely drawing dead. We may be able to induce a bluff from someone as well. The cutoff calls, the button has air, he folds, the small blind can't continue either, he also folds, it's down to heads up, we could be up against trips. The turn is the 4 of diamonds, it's a total blank. I play into the fact that it looks like I'm trying not to lose the Squid Game. I announce a bet of 800. The opponent folds immediately, he probably just had a weak draw of some sort. We have to table our cards to get the last remaining Squid Game chip. We avoid losing once again. We're back up, close to the high point, winning just shy of $25,000. The deck's cooperating well with us at the moment. A few minutes go by before we pick up ace-6 of diamonds on the button. We're done playing the Squid Game. The cutoff raises to 150. We can 3-bet or call. Stacks are deep. If we can hit something like a flush or full house, we may be able to win another big pot. I call to see a flop. The small blind calls. I'm okay having more opponents, but we're likely going to need to make a hand better than 1 pair to win. The under the gun straddler calls. We're going 4 ways to the flop in position. It comes ace-king-8 rainbow. We've got top pair and a backdoor flush draw. It's the kind of flop that might get us in trouble because there's a decent chance one of our 3 opponents is holding an ace with a better kicker. It checks to us though. I thought the cutoff likely would have c-bet since the ace-king high flop is much better for his range as the pre-flop aggressor. No one else can really have aces, kings, or ace-king. His check indicates that he probably doesn't have much. I don't want to let 3 players have a free shot at improving. I bet 200, right outside the camera's view. It's a pretty small amount, but it should be effective in narrowing down the field. Small blind folds, the player under the gun calls. He's this episode's main nemesis. The cutoff also calls. 3 of us are still in. I'm not sure that we're best. The turn is the ace of spades giving us trips. Under the gun checks, the cutoff checks. Under the gun tends to play pretty loose. I don't get the sense that he called our flop bet with an ace. Cutoff may have something like a Broadway draw and only called 1 bet on the flop to see if he could improve, knowing that he was closing the action. We know where the majority of the aces are. I'm going to keep charging our opponents, who we've probably got beat. I bet 500 in the camera's view this time, but the dealer doesn't like you guys seeing our bets. She takes our chips and places them elsewhere. Under the gun recently got fired from his job at the laundromat for refusing to fold. He calls. I still don't think that he has an ace. He may only have a king. Cutoff folds, it's down to heads up. The river is the 6 of spades giving us another full house. If there was any concern that we were behind, it's vanished quicker than Maurice Hawkins when he sees his backers coming. Under the gun checks, now we're hoping that he has trip aces. We target those combos with a pot size bet at 2200. If the opponent only has a king, he may still want to look us up, knowing that he won't have to call any additional bets to get the showdown. After 15 seconds, the opponent makes the call. We show him that we've got the goods. Under the gun returns his cards to the dealer face down. He doesn't seem too disappointed with the run out. It seems like we were probably ahead the entire way. Our backdoor full house gets us paid. Our stack is approaching the $40,000 mark and $30,000 profit territory. We run cold for a bit before picking up pocket jiggities and the high jiggity. It wouldn't feel like a complete poker vlog without this hand. I raised to 150. Our neighbors want to play. The cutoff calls. The button calls as well. We're going 3 ways to the flop out of position. The dealer puts out 7-7-4 rainbow. We've got an overpair, but one of our opponents could have trips or better. I check for pot control and to gain information. The cutoff checks. The button is the person who's most likely to have trips. He bets 225. We might be behind, but the button could reasonably be betting for value and protection with all sorts of smaller pocket pairs as well, or as a bluff. I call, which might be alarming for the button. The cutoff folds. It's down to heads up. The turn is the 7 of hearts. Now it's a lot less likely that the button's holding a 7. If we check, the opponent is going to check back a lot of combos that we're beating. We can't let that happen. I bet 700. There are only a few combos of quads the opponent will have. We're going to have all the high over pairs, and we now have the lead against pocket 4s. The button must have something with showdown value. He calls. He might have something like pocket 8s, 9s, or 10s. He would have 3-bet pocket queens or better. The river is the king of hearts. The backdoor flush draw gets there, but we're beating that, and there aren't any combos containing a king that the opponent is going to have, other than king 7 of diamonds, but that was already beating us. We have the green light to bet for value again, but it could be tough to get called by middling pocket pairs if we make it too much. I keep it relatively affordable, betting 1100. The king isn't a great card for us, not because it improves the opponent's hands, but it hurts us since the opponent could think that maybe we took a weird line with ace-king and improved to a full house on the river, so it might be tougher for our river bet to get called. The fact that we're betting again indicates that we're at least not afraid of the king being out there, and that's gotta be scary for the button. He folds. It's mandatory that I show the jiggities when I'm dealt him. The button is relieved that he didn't pay us off with the worst hand, but we never find out what he parted ways with. Next, we're dealt ace-10 offsuit in middle position. I raised to 150. The cutoff calls. He's the same opponent we were up against in the last hand. It's heads up and we're out of position. The flop comes 10-10-4 with 2 diamonds. We've got trips. The dealers are making it very easy for us today. There will be plenty of 10s in the opponent's range though. I don't suspect that he has one in this instance, but I check to protect our range when we're in similar situations and don't have 3 10s. We also give our opponent a chance to bluff and instill some doubt that we're harboring a monster. The cutoff doesn't take the bait. He checks back. He almost definitely doesn't have trips or better. The turn is the 6 of diamonds, completing the flush draw, but there's no reason for us to believe that our opponent's holding 2 diamonds. It's time to start pumping money into the pot before the board gets any worse. I bet 200. The opponent checks his cards for a diamond. This is often a reliable tell that the opponent doesn't have 2 diamonds. Usually when someone has suited cards, they know what suit they're holding and don't need to check. If this is a genuine check for diamonds, we know that the opponent also doesn't have pocket 6s because he'd know that the 6 of diamonds is on the board and his 2 6s are different suits. The cutoff makes the call though. Maybe he has something like pocket 7s or ace-jack with 1 diamond. The river is the jack of clubs. There's nothing for us to be afraid of. We're going to be betting for value again. I charged the cutoff 600 to make it to showdown. The opponent folded to our river bet in the previous hand that we went over. This time he calls. We turn over our 3 10s. The opponent wasn't expecting to see trips. I haven't run particularly well in high stakes games the first few months of the year, but the poker gods are making up for it today. We're up over 27,000 and we're still not done. We've got Queen Jack 10-9 with 3 clubs and an 8-handed $100 pot limit double board bomb pot. Although we have 4 cards, we're playing Texas Hold'em rules. That means we can use 0, 1, or 2 of our whole cards to make the best 5-card hand on each board, rather than Omaha rules, in which we'd have to use exactly 2 of our whole cards. We're in the big blind. The first flop is Queen 6-4 rainbow. We've got top pair and backdoor draws. It's not special though. The second flop is 10-9-6 rainbow. We've got top 2 pair and an open-ended straight draw. Any card from an 8 to a king will give us the best or second best possible hand. All players check. The top turn is the 4 of clubs. It pairs the board, but we pick up a flush draw. The bottom turn is the deuce of clubs. It's a complete blank. The small blind checks. We've got a good amount of value on each board. I make a small bet of 300. We'll get some players to fold, and if we get called, we could be best, or at least we'll have plenty of cards on the river that'll give us the best hand. The cutoff calls. The small blind isn't giving our bet a lot of credit. He puts in a pot-sized check raise at 2,000. Once everyone checks around on the flop, I would have thought that the small blind would bet turn with something really strong on both boards. He may just have one board locked up that he's playing aggressively in order to avoid chopping the pot. For instance, he might only have 8-7 for the straight on the second board and nothing on the first board. There's no possibility of us being dead, and we have scoop potential. I ruin the small blind's plans of winning on this street. I call for 1,700 more, which has to be mortifying. The cutoff isn't strong enough to call a check raise. He folds. It's down to heads up. The top river is the king of clubs, giving us a flush. The bottom river is the 10 of spades, giving us the nuts. We get the perfect cards to improve. The small blind knows the boards have significantly changed, and it appears his confidence in his cards has also changed. He bets 2,000 again. This is kind of a small blocker bet. There are no combos that scoop against us. The worst case scenario is that we get 3-quartered, but the opponent would also have to have 10-9, and then he'd have to have the ace-high flush or better on the top board. With the sizing that the small blind used, it's clear he's afraid. We almost for sure have him beat on one board and likely have him beat on both. I raised to 7,000. The small blind's thinking about it. We're both really deep. If he puts in a pot-sized re-raise, I would hate it, especially because this is the end of the night and everything has gone so smoothly up to this point. I don't want to lose back all the profit after being up the entire session so far. Our opponent isn't considering a re-raise after all. He folds. It's one more large pot that comes our way.
Well done.
Sick one. I'll show you.
Whoa. Hold it straight on the bottom.
Yeah. Good. Nice. That's the last big pot of the night. We won the very first hand dealt and never looked back. At no point were we below the even mark. It's a long session of nearly 7 hours, but it kept getting better and better. I always loved playing at this property. I've had some of my favorite memories here, including several with my dad. In fact, my dad helped organize the first meetup game ever at Grayton, since he was friends with the GM at the time. Win or lose, I always enjoy playing with the regulars when I'm here too. Fortunately, things go well for us tonight. I had my biggest win of the year by far, profiting $34,500. It's nice to come back to my hometown and still be able to get some work done, especially right before the summer. I end the night hanging out at a local bar with my friend Pat, who I've known since freshman year of high school, and I invite a viewer named Julian to join us as well. The day couldn't have gone any better. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Helps out the channel a ton. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to get back to you. We've got a bunch of promos going on right now on ClubWPTGold.com. Be sure to sign up using code BRAD. That way you're eligible for the 1K everyday giveaway starting May 20th. I'm giving away 1,000 sweeps coins each day to you viewers for 30 days straight. So it's a huge promo, and all you have to do to be eligible is sign up using code BRAD, and then if you make a purchase at any point previously, if you made one months ago, you're already eligible for it. But if you haven't yet, then sign up and make a purchase of any amount, and then you'll be, as long as you sign up before 9 p.m., you'll be eligible for the following day's giveaway. Winners will be announced on my Instagram, and then also there is the Gold Rush promotion. There are free rolls running every day on Gold right now for you to get yourself a golden ticket. I've got 3 to give out. I don't know quite how to give them out yet, but follow me on social media because I'm gonna be giving updates for all the summer tournaments that I'm playing, and I'm gonna be going hard. I do have a golden ticket myself, so if I win one of the summer majors that qualify for this promotion, Gold is gonna give me an extra $1 million, as they will to you if you have a golden ticket. But if I win a bracelet in one of these events, then I will give $500,000 to you guys in a free roll on Gold for those of you who've signed up using code BRAD. So I'm gonna go as hard as I can, not just in those events, but also in some other non-qualifying events that are bracelet events as well. And if I win one of the non-qualifying events, I'll just give $100,000 to you viewers in a free roll too. So if I win a bracelet of any sort, I'm gonna be giving back to you guys. I'm gonna be playing a ton of large 5-figure buy-ins in variations of poker that I have very little experience in, but I've been studying a ton with Dylan Wiseman, John Turner, Petrangelo, and Matt Vengren. Behind the scenes, you guys haven't seen it, I haven't really talked about it, but I've been studying a ton, playing online as much as I can in these mixed games, playing a couple live events, and really excited for this summer. There's a good chance that I have a losing year due to how hard that I'm going this summer. It'll be my first potentially losing year ever. I know that I'm not a favorite in these events, but I'm gonna do my absolute best to try and just go for the win. It was always a dream of mine to win a major tournament, and because of the position I'm in, from you guys watching the vlogs, supporting the channel, signing up using the promo code, all that, WPT sponsorship, all that stuff, I'm in a position to, really go for it and try to make my dream come true. There's a good chance that, like I said, I lose a lot this summer. I'm hoping by next summer in these mixed games that I'll be a more formidable opponent, and by the following summer after that, if I have like 3 years experience just studying and doing my absolute best, that I'm gonna win a bracelet, and that is the goal. And at the risk of looking like an idiot and losing 6 figures, I'm gonna be going for it. I don't necessarily recommend anybody else do that unless you have another source of income. It's not great to do just from a strict vantage point of trying to be profitable in poker, but I'm just gonna try and have as much fun as I can, and try and take advantage of this golden ticket that I've been awarded, and try and win something for myself. It'll be fun for my own personal journey, and then also to give back to you guys. Anyway, that is a long explanation of all this stuff that's going on. I hope you guys are doing well. If you see me around in the summer, be sure to come up and say hi. Even if I look like upset or something, if I just busted a tournament, maybe I won't be in the best mood, but I would feel worse if somebody passed up an opportunity who wanted to come up and say hi or take a quick selfie. So I much rather you prefer to do that. Anyway, all right. Good luck at the tables. I'll see you guys around, and see you next time.